Hello, beautiful people. How are you today? Good afternoon. It is Ashley Nicole with The Practical Life, and I am back with another live today. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. Today is Monday, so we are starting off with so many things to do this week, but I wanted to have a discussion today with you all about Master P. Unfortunately, he lost his daughter to substance use allegedly. And rest in peace to Tatiana Miller. And so we're going to get into it today about how losing her kind of sparked a mission for him. But before we get into that, just a little bit of background about myself. Again, my name is Ashley Nicole. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and this channel is all about mental health, where you can get your questions about mental health answered, as well as how to kind of help you catapult your career. So I'm all about mental health and careers. I do offer consultations regarding how to kind of strategize about your career and any questions about mental health. Any information that I talk about in this video when it comes to any trends or celebrities and things like that is, fair use. And just want to make sure that everyone knows that all of my opinions are of my own and comes from my knowledge, experience, expertise, and my education related to the field. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So, Master P, Percy Miller, this man has really beat the odds, right? So, coming from New Orleans and coming from just a really, really kind of, difficult background, neighborhood, and things like that, you expect for him to not make it. You know what I mean? Especially to the level that he has made it to, right? And not only him, but his kids as well. So I think the most, he has 9 kids, right? And the one that's kind of in the limelight the most is Romeo. And we know him as Lil Romeo, his music and things like that. But I was reading up on Lil Romeo, and he ain't Lil Romeo, right? He has really made a name for himself. He's been in notable movies and films and things like that. And I want to say he continues to do music, but he has really kind of it seems like he's the one of Master P's kids, the one that has really kind of, or will kind of carry on the name as far as wealth, right? And making sure that like generations ahead will never, probably can't wouldn't even be able to fathom what Master P, how he grew up, what he went through, what he's seen, and things like that. Like they're not going to be able to even fathom all of that. And so Romeo, he's a little bit close to it, right? Because, his dad is still here and tells him all these stories and things like that. So it seems like he's the kid, and I don't know what order he's in, but it seems like he is the one that will kind of carry everything on. And it seems like Master P has kind of, and I'll say this, in hearing Romeo speak, it sounds like he's okay with taking on that role, but we don't know, right? We don't know how he really kind of feels about that. It could be that, and as a man, right? It's just what he is going to do. You know what I mean? But it also seems like that his dad has kind of pushed him to that, in that position, if that makes any sense. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to talk a little bit. I got my DSM-5 here, and we're going to talk a little bit about substance use disorders and, what that kind of looks like and what a little bit of the criteria for that. So I'm going to try to make this live a little bit. It'll probably be shorter than most of my other lives, but we will see. We will see. So yes, so Tatiana, beautiful, beautiful girl, beautiful woman. All of his kids are beautiful kids, and her life ended at 29 years old, allegedly from substance use. And it said it was accidental. And so again, prayers for the family, rest in peace to Tatiana. And you just can't, imagine them going through that, right? But we also today are kind of going to kind of put ourselves in their shoes and see, again, we don't know what we would do when we are in a situation. We don't know how we would react once we're in a situation. So let's kind of dig into it a little bit. Y'all know I have my notes. Don't play. So it's been said that she was battling addiction for a decade. Now she was 29, so that was around what, probably 18, 19 years old. And usually that's when, um not not all the time, but primarily, right? She was a young adult, probably experimenting with different things. We always hear about those stories, in Hollywood, because, Hollywood ain't no joke. Now, based on, what we've read, what we've heard, and things like that. So, and Black Hollywood is small, right? It looks like it's big, but it's really small. Everybody pretty much knows everybody, right? So, in trying to, and I don't know how she kind of grew up. Did she grow up in New Orleans and then, her dad, as he became more and more famous, then moved to California, things like that, right? And so trying to kind of adapt to like a new normal, coming from, because that's pretty extreme, coming from where they came from in New Orleans, and then now in California, it's like you don't want for nothing, you know what I mean? Like, you can pretty much do whatever you want, but it's like a devil's playground. Like, you got so many options. You don't know what option to take, if that makes any sense. So, but that is a long time to be battling addiction. And it wasn't said like what she was addicted to, like what specific substance. But I will tell you guys, like, you could be addicted to anything. It could be a substance. That's what we primarily hear about. But you could be addicted to food, right? You could be addicted to food. Just think about it. Addicted to food. A person could be addicted to exercise, right? Going to the gym 5, 6, 7 times a day. Not even going to the gym, but just working out. Working out 5, 6, 7 times a day. You see what I'm saying? And when anything becomes excessive, you could get addicted. And so it didn't say what substance it was. And it sounds like, again, it's alleged. So hold on one second, guys. It sounds like it's alleged that it was accidental, but we don't know, right? We don't know specifically what it was. Now, if she has been battling this for 10 years, that's a long time. Now, some people been battling addiction way longer than that, right? 20 years, 30 years, right? And all of a sudden something happens where they have to, where they hit rock bottom or whatever, and then it's, they're ready to kind of get clean or go to rehab and things like that. But um that's a long time, to be addicted, right? And who knows? I mean, on the interview that Master P did, he said that she was ready. She was saying, okay, Dad, it's time for me to get help. I'm ready to get help. But when you are especially a family member and you don't understand addiction, right? And for people who even do understand addiction, you want to believe them that they are going to get better, like that they are going to be compliant with treatment, and that this is it. This is the last time I'm going to do that and all this stuff. But you don't know what they're going to do. Like, you can't make the decision for them. You can't make them go to rehab. You can't make them see that it's not right for them. They have to do that for themselves. So it sounds like she was suffering. Okay, but what was she for her to be addicted, right? Battling addiction, but what was she suffering from? Most people, we know that, abuse substances are trying to cope with something, right? So what was she trying to cope with? Was it the life that she was trying to adapt to? Was it not living up to her dad's expectations? And we'll get into that too. But what was it that she was really trying to cope from? And sometimes people who have, say for example, it may not have been anything that had to do with her family, her dad or anything like that. Maybe she experienced something that her family didn't know about, that she was battling with or grappling with. No one knows but her. But back to Master P, he has 9 kids, right? And in the interview he did I saw a clip of him speaking with Gail King, and he was saying that after she passed, he had a family meeting, and he was kind of like asking his kids, what did he do wrong? So we already know that, of course, he's a parent. He is overwhelmed with grief, right? He feels a lot of guilt, right? She was also on the show Growing Up Hip Hop. So there were times where him and Romeo, they were trying to talk to her like, okay, you got to get better. Like, okay, you say you were coming here. We called you. We've been looking for you 3-4 hours. Where you been? So, and she's like not really responding to them. So it sounds like he was trying to push her to get better, trying to tell her like she don't really know. Like, he look at where your dad has been. Like, whatever you grappling with can't be as bad as that of what I've seen, what I've experienced. So what really is the issue? Like, why won't you get better, right? And so he said he had a family meeting and was asking him, like, what did I do wrong? Like, I thought I was giving y'all a better life. Like, y'all ain't got to go through none of that I went through in New Orleans. So what did I do wrong? And he said that the one word that he said that he kind of got from them was that he was controlling. And so that was very interesting. Now, the mom, I think her mom is Sonia Miller, right? They're divorced now, but it was alleged that she battled addiction, but she denied that. She was like, yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't see, all these, drugs and stuff like that in New Orleans, growing up in the projects, all of that. But I never, she was saying she never did any of that. So who knows? That was alleged. And it seems like the mom, she went to, after getting divorced, sounds like it was kind of devastating to her, of course. And she went to university, got a degree and all that stuff. But other than that, like what's going on right now, it didn't say much about her mom. But um his kids were indicating that he was controlling. Now, she was 29 years old. And maybe they see it as controlling, but he sees it as like protecting them, right? Like all based on all the stuff that he went through, based on all the things that he had to get through, all the devastating losses that he had to, endure and see, and, all this stuff. And he's protecting them like, okay, I don't want you all to get into, any trouble or anything like that. Like I gotta make sure I keep an eye on my kids. He seems like he's was trying to be a great father, but they see it as, okay, they saw this, you trying to control us. Like we can't do nothing. And that doesn't mean that that's why she is battling addiction. You know what I mean? Because as a grown up, I mean, 29 years old, you grown, you make your own decisions, right? But what was stopping her from making better decisions about her life? Now, going back to trying to live up to expectations, like look at Romeo. Romeo is like, and that's why I say it seems like his dad is kind of pushing him in that position to be like, okay, you the head of the pack, like these you got to show your siblings this is what you should do when your dad changed things around. This is what you do with it. You continue on, and continue the wealth and things like that. Like he want all his kids to following those footsteps. And Romeo is almost like, for real, he can't mess up. He can't mess up. They counting on him. And so the conversations that Master P had with Tatiana, what do you see on the clips from Growing Up Hip Hop? Romeo is right there. Even though his dad may not have asked him to be there, but he feels like he gotta be there. So then back to Tatiana, you don't, your dad may not have told you he has these expectations, but you feel like you got to live up to a certain expectation, and that can be overwhelming, right? And so for some people, if it's overwhelming, they don't know how to cope with it. So then hence starting experimenting with drugs and alcohol, and now you numbing it, you feel better, and it goes on and on and on. And now you look up, you addicted, right? Um, so but with 9 kids, he can possibly, especially with the him being an artist and stuff like that, and trying to being a businessman, and like he couldn't possibly have spent a lot of time with those kids. And again, not that spending time with the kids is going to change the outcome, but maybe, who knows? I mean, he he couldn't possibly have been able to do that, right? So again, he don't know what she really been through. He's thinking, oh, she got a better life, everything is fine, but who knows what she has experienced, or what she's really feeling. And then on one of those clips, he was going in on, he like, where you been? He like, where you been? I've been calling you. I've been looking for you. Why you? This is serious. And she's like, okay. And it's kind of like he wanted her to get help more than she wanted help for herself, even though she was saying it, because that's the right thing to say to get them off her back. You know what I mean? Um. So they said that he was controlling, and in that interview, you could tell that he was just he kind of didn't know what to say. But he did say that people need to talk about mental health and substance abuse, and nobody wants to say that their kid is doing that, or that has happened to their kid in our community. And he's right. These things need to be talked about, because when you talk about it, you can hear other people. It could be any small thing. You can hear another mom or dad or family saying, "Oh yeah, I knew that they were doing this because I saw this." And and somebody else might say, oh, I didn't even think about that, you know. And it may not be that your child is doing it, but at least you would know like what the signs are. You know what I mean? You would know to, okay, let me stop, take a step back, and check on my kid, and really kind of spend that time. That extra 10 minutes, that extra 15 minutes can make a world of difference. That turning off the tablet when they eat dinner, or turning off, putting the phones away when we go for a ride, can make a world of difference, because in that 10, 15, 20 minutes, your kid gonna start talking, right? You gonna hear something, you're gonna be like, dang, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that they was friends with such and such. And in your mind, you like, that ain't no good. That's not a good friend. You know, like, I know it kind of, whatever it might be, is going to spark you to be more curious about their lives and ask more questions, and then they'll get more comfortable with you, right? So, but he said that we need to talk about it. And this is, again, one of the reasons why I started this channel, because our community, we want to sweep everything under the rug. You can't do that, because you get, these are the outcomes that you get. And then when you get the outcome, now is, oh, we shoulda, coulda, woulda. No, we got to do it beforehand. Okay. Um, let's see. So he said that it really sparked a something in him. So what did it spark? It sparked him to work with NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, right? And I thought that was so good, because he, based on where he comes from, it sounds like he's a proponent of turning his pain into purpose. So he, like, instead of me sitting down kind of wallowing in it and, you know, thinking about her all the time, of course he's going to think about her as his daughter, right? But he's like, I have to do something to help somebody else. So he is partnering with doctors and NAMI, right, to try to spread awareness about substance abuse and mental illness. And I think that is awesome. That is great. And like we talked about in Lauren's video, you know, how do you cope when you lose someone? So if you know, go back to previous lives that I've did, and I got a couple videos about, you know, the stages of grief and loss, and, you know, kind of trying to figure out what stage you're in and how to move on after that. And I talked a little bit about Lauren London and, you know, her loss of Nipsey, and what she kind of taught us when it comes to loss. And what was it? Being present. Being present. So when his kids tell him, oh, you a little bit controlled, and, like, you know, it's kind of like, and it's hard. This is a hard conversation, because in looking where he comes from, he worked so hard to get to where he is. So it's like, maybe instead of putting all the focus into, you know, the kids and spending time with them, and you know, kind of engaging with him, the focus is trying to figure out how to not lose what he built, so that they'll have it, right? So then that's like, that's you, but you're in a pickle because you can't just build all of this and then be like, oh, okay, now it's time to just sit at home. You got to make sure you maintain it, so you can continue to have it. So it's like, it's hard for parents. Same thing that Jay-Z said, like, okay, I'm going out and traveling and, you know, being an artist or whatever, making money, doing business deals and all this, but then I'm leaving my three at home. Like, it's a difficult decision. Like, okay, do I leave because I gotta make sure I maintain what I've built, or do I stay home because I don't want to miss nothing, because I'm, you know, raising them, because I, you know, want to be a parent. You know what I mean? So it's a difficult situation to be in, right? And so of course he feels so much guilt and so much shame, and it's it's interesting that after her death, the first thing he did was call a family meeting. It's almost like it's business like, right? It's like, okay, he running the business. Like, okay, everybody comes to the meeting. We got to figure this out. Like, you can't figure it out. She's not here anymore. So it's like he feels so much guilt. He feels maybe he could have done something differently, but the truth is that he didn't do anything wrong. I'm sure you guys have heard, like, you could be the best parent. I don't know where they at, but like, you could do nothing wrong as a parent based on whatever, because it ain't no book, right? You could be there for them 100%, whatever it is. And them kids can still turn out to do some things you like, they weren't raised like that. Like, you hear this stuff all the time. Like, they weren't raised like that. I'm telling y'all a story. And y'all can look it up on YouTube too. This girl, oh my goodness, I think her name is Kamaya. It's not a tradition, it's not like a traditional spelling of her name, but I think you pronounce it Kamaya. Kamaya. I can't remember this lady last name, but she was on trial. This must have been, I can't remember the year, y'all forgive me. Please forgive me. But this girl, she was this woman, she was a Black woman, and she married a Black guy, and they were in the military, and they were stationed. Everything was good. They were in they ended up having a baby. I think it was a baby boy, and they ended up being stationed in Korea, both of them. So the baby had to be under a year old. So they left the baby with his dad. And his dad, look it up. Y'all look it up. It's a classic example. So they left the baby with his dad in the States, and they went to, they were in the military, they were in the army, and they went to Korea. Now, while in Korea, some kind of way, this girl, and she was a young girl too, she might have been 25, 26. Don't give me the line, but 25, 26 years old. And she ended up getting caught up with this guy in Korea, and he was from the States too. Like, I feel like he was they say he was in the military too. And so they were over there. I don't know how long they were in Korea, but they came back, and they lived with his dad for a while, because they was really trying to get on their feet, and all this stuff. And that his dad was saying he was really doing well. He really enjoyed being in the military. He was moving up in the ranks and stuff like that. And when he came home, he was so excited. I feel like she came home before he did. And when he came back, he was excited and things like that. And he was getting into his routine. Fast forward to New Year's Eve. The dad, he had did a barbecue, and family was there and things like that. And Kamaya, she didn't go to the barbecue for some reason. And his dad said it was like maybe like 11 p.m. And he was saying that he was going to leave to take Kamaya a plate. And he was going to come right back. And so he was like, okay, soon as that man walked out the door, he said about 5 minutes later, Kamaya called him and told him that he was, that somebody shot him. And he like, what? He just walked out the door. So the daddy running down, because he was like down the street. He running. Y'all, look this story up. This man saw his son laying there, right? So they trying to figure out what happened. Like, the son didn't make it. The son did not make it, y'all. The man came back and was like, who would do this to my son? Like, he don't bother nobody. He got his life together, married, kid, all this, right? About 2 weeks later, them investigators said, you come on down to the station and bring Kamaya with you. So he like, okay, So they go down to the station. Oh, and what they told him was, make sure Kamaya bring that phone of hers. So he like, okay. So they go down to the station. And stay with me, y'all, because I'm telling you, this is a classic case of when you raise your kids the way that you think they should go, in the right way. They ain't never been no trouble with you. They been to school. They did everything you asked them to do. No sign of trouble. And they still turn out a different way. And this is why you can't blame yourself. So they go down to the station. They put him in one room, put Kamaya in another room, asking questions. Y'all come to find out. Now, they wouldn't, I don't even know if they found out. This girl, they something must have been in her phone. I can't hardly remember that part. Something must have been in her phone. But when they locked her up. Come out, the wife, they locked her up. She called her mom from that jail phone. And her mom is like, Kamaya, what is going on? And the mom, I think the way the mom was talking, I think her mom thought that she was locked up because it was like, just a formality or something. So they figured something out or whatever. This lady told her mom, well, mom, remember I told you about such and such? I can't even remember the man's name. Shane. Remember I told you about such and such? I met him when I was in Korea. And the mom was like, uh-huh. And she said, we planned it, mama. And the mama said, what? She said, well, we planned it. We planned it, and we did it. We agreed that we was gonna do that. She said, do what? And she said, hurt him or whatever. She said, you lying to me? Her mama said, you didn't. No, you didn't. And she said, somebody telling you to say this? Because I know for sure my daughter did not plan to do this to anybody. You weren't raised like that. And she said, I know, Mom. But she went and she did that anyway. You didn't let somebody talk you into hurting your husband. There's some fool you didn't met in Korea, and then she said that he said, we gonna be because he want to be with her. He want to be together. So I guess they felt like they had to take him out. And she said, now mind you, back to when the daddy found him, she was there too. You could hear her on the tape. But when they had the trial, look up the trial. Her name Kamaya, but I can't remember her last name. You'll find her. They had her on the tape crying. I mean, crying. Who would do this and this and that? All along, she knew. And her mom said, you were not raised like this. This is something I wouldn't even think you would ever even think about doing or talking to somebody about. And she said, I know, Mama. She said, I know. She said, this is, all my doing. And at least the girl had at least she had some type of, took accountability to say, you know what, I was the cause of this. Now she got a 1-year-old that don't have his dad or his mom. Right? But that's a classic case of you raising your kids the way that you think that they should go, the right way, and them still turning out totally different than what you thought or how you thought they would turn out, being a good citizen, doing what they're supposed to do, and all of that. Look it up. That I was like, what in the world? So Master P, he cannot blame himself. He did what he could with what he had. Her mom too did what she could with what she had, the best that she could. Oftentimes we only know how to raise kids the way that we were raised until, like I said before, you sit down with yourself and say, okay, I'm gonna have some kids. You sit down with yourself and you say, okay, now this how I was raised. This I ain't getting ready to do that. Or you know what? This was this was a really good trait of my mom and dad or my family or my grandma or whatever. And I'm gonna take that into my parenting because it really helped me be a good person or whatever it is, right? If you don't do that and get real with yourself and know yourself, I said, what is going on? And so, again, he cannot blame himself or feel guilty about what happened, but he is going to go through those stages, right? In the video about grief, right? He's going to go through those stages. And right now, it seems like he's trying to distract himself by saying, and being active, right? I'm going to get involved and do this, and this. But what happens, like Lauren said, when it fades to black? What happens when it fades to black? When you go home from the NAMI rallies and talking to doctors and learning more about substance use, and when you sitting down by yourself at night, getting ready to go, lay down, you thinking about your baby and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? So that's why you've got to go through it. You've got to go through the process and really go through it and not distract yourself, And we all know it is what it is. Like Lauren said, we are going to go. But in this situation too, the manner in which it was. He said his daughter was trying to get help. She was getting ready to go to rehab. And you got to realize too that people, two things. People who deal with substance use, their intentions are good. But when you are addicted to something, it takes over the intentions, right? You got to get better. They know they have to get better. They know what they're doing is not good, but other things come into play when you are addicted, right? So let me get my DSM-5 and let's go through um the some of like the classic signs, right, of how you may know that you or someone may be addicted. So let me get my DSM-5. And again, now it's not going to be the same for everybody, remember? Because remember last time I said it's not a one size fits all. So it's not a one size fits all. So it may look different for another person, it may look this way for a different person. So let's see. Sorry, y'all. Today I'm kind of all I feel like I'm all over the place, but I had to. It's Monday, okay? So for substance use, right? So let's because there are different substances that a person could be addicted to, right? So let's talk about substance use in general. Substance use in general. So when you talk about that, you're looking at characteristics of substance of use, right? So, of course, it's an underlying change in the brain circuits that may persist beyond detoxification, particularly in individuals with severe disorders. The behavioral effects of these brain changes may be exhibited in the repeated relapses and intense cravings, right? So when they're thinking, okay, I got to get better, I'm going to go to rehab, the cravings is, again, just like, for example, being addicted to food or not being able to lose weight, right? There are a lot of studies, and there are some videos, if you guys look it up, about reasons why people cannot lose weight. It's not that you don't have willpower, or you don't have self-discipline, or you got some kind of medical condition, and that could be too, but it's because you're addicted to food. Think about that. It's the root cause could be that you are addicted to food, and that's the reason why you are not able to lose weight, or that's the reason why you can have a plan to change your behaviors as far as eating food, or starting a better meal plan and things like that. And you'll do it for maybe 3 days, maybe up to a week, right? Maybe up to a week. And then you're back to your old ways. Same thing with substance use, right? People go to rehab 30 days. Some people leave in the middle of it. Some people will leave against medical advice. They'll leave. Maybe you know, them going through the process, because when you go to rehab, they have all these providers there. They have the doctors, right? They have the therapists there. And then you start talking about those things that occurred that made you run to the substances in the beginning. And when you start talking about that, and then you don't have the substance to numb it or to cope with it, that's when you want to run away, right? So the cravings, right. So then it says, overall, the diagnosis of substance use disorder is based on a pathological pattern of behaviors related to the use of the substances, right? So some of them are impaired control over the use. They can control how much they're using. They keep going back, keep going back, keep going back, keep going back, right? Unsuccessful efforts to decrease or discontinue use. So those multiple times in rehab, going in and out, right? Saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna stop." That I know it's not good. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna go. I start next week. They never go, or they'll go and then they'll stop, right? And then they back. Then they'll go. Then they'll stop, right? Um, Spend a great deal of time obtaining the substance. They're going to do whatever to get it. They're going to lie, cheat, steal. And these could be your family members, right? And you don't want to believe that about them. Or you might not even want to believe that they got to a point where they're addicted to something. Like, not you. How you addicted? Like, come on now. You have therapists who are addicted to substances. You got nurses, you've got doctors, you've got pilots. Y'all, let's get real. You got pilots, especially you have a lot of nurses that have substance use challenges, that are addicted to alcohol. You got a lot of nurses, y'all. You do. You got to realize that, like, for real, it's real out here. People have so many challenges and issues they're dealing with, they don't know how to cope. And that's why therapy is so important, to talk about these things, to go through these things, to figure out how to effectively communicate how you are feeling, right? So those are like some of the main criteria, and those are things that we probably already know, right? The cravings, multiple attempts to discontinue use or trouble trying to discontinue the use of the substance. Um, right. And more importantly, if it's interfering with your daily functioning, like because you have some people who are addicted to substances and they're high functioning. They go to work every day, they on time, they take care of their kids, they run a smooth household. They cooking, they cleaning, they doing all of that. Um, they taking care of themselves on a daily basis. They're bathing, brushing their teeth. They look put together. These are people that are high functioning, but they are addicted to something, right? Those that goes back to some of the nurses, doctors, pilots. They still steering that plane and they're addicted, right? But you have some people where it gets to a point where the use is so excessive and they start, right, it starts to interfere with their functioning. They're not able to go to work, they're calling in late, they're not taking care of the kids are missing school. They may be a person that's usually on top of things. They may start forgetting things, and this would be excessive, right? So those are some of the signs, that you can look for. But I really wanted to ensure that the message that Master P kind of gave us is that as a community, we have to talk about mental health. And we have to really try to reduce the stigma of talking about what is hurting us and helping each other to get through it. So his mission is to work with mental health professionals, making sure that we get information out there about substance use and mental health. And so I just wanted to kind of bring this video to you all today. Let me know in the comments on the replay if you all think, you know, what how it has affected him, as a parent. Of course we know he feels guilt, he feels probably a little bit of shame, right? Because my family is to this point of not having to worry about anything monetarily, but then this happens to my daughter, right? So, but what can he do, right? What can he do to try to move on? Do you guys think that it's okay to distract yourself for a while when something like this happens? Or does he need to, kind of get out of the limelight for a while and go to therapy, try to cope with it? Or do you guys think a distraction is best? Let me know in the comments, because I know some people may differ in that, and it may work different for everybody. But let me know what you all think. Again, rest in peace to Tatiana Miller. We're keeping the family in our prayers. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining the live. I appreciate each and every one of you all. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.